Hi, you're listening to the Fresh Start Podcast, and this is episode number 21.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fresh Start Podcast. This is Stacy, and I am here with Marcia. Marcia,
Yep.
say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Are you ready for the holidays, Stacy?
I was going to say, can you believe it? We have made it to the end of the year.
It flew
Hmm.
by. It flew by, and it's snowing
Hmm.
here right now, actually, outside.
Oh, I will not be jealous. I will not be
Are
jealous.
you not a snow? You don't like snow?
I love snow. That's why I'm telling myself I will not be jealous. I will
Oh,
not
okay,
be
okay,
jealous.
okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I
Yes.
don't know if it's gonna how much, but yeah, we're getting a little bit of snow here. I love the snow. We got our Christmas lights up. I know you had your Christmas
Hmm.
stuff up early, and yeah, just kind of getting ready. Are you staying home for the holidays?
I am. I'm going to
Hmm.
have a Florida Christmas.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Does
How
that
about
mean
you?
you're on the beach? Are you laying out on the beach on
Oh
Christmas Day?
no, no, I will be in my house with my little backyard. I have, a peanut tree. I don't know that I've ever shared that, but I
No.
have a big oak tree that has a hole in it, like one of those little, I don't know, knots or whatever.
Hmm.
And I put peanuts in it, and the squirrels and the crows come and eat out of the peanut tree.
Mm.
Every morning when I'm there, I put those out. So I'll put extra out for the little furry friends on Christmas morning and while I have coffee. And, who knows? It could be 20 degrees or it could be 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Who knows? And
Well,
just enjoy the Florida Christmas.
oh, that's good.
Mhm.
Well, we're going to be here at our home in Nashville for Christmas too. I love being here and being able to be with the grandkids a little bit. And we actually just finished taping next week's
Mhm.
episode, which will be our last episode for the year. And we taped it was us and our friend Amy. And you guys are going to want to tune in because I I I needed this episode myself, and Stacy and Amy brought some really amazing tips for how to get through the holidays, the difficult parts of the holidays, and there are difficult parts for
Mhm.
everybody.
Yeah.
So y'all are going to have to check that out
And
next week.
you brought the ho ho hos and the ho ho nos.
That's right. It's our holiday version of yays or nays. So y'all are going to have to see.
Tune in.
Tune in, tune
Yes.
in. So that's great. Before we introduce our guest, I have to do a little plug. At Christmas time, God of My Girlfriend's Ministries is the one that sponsors this podcast. Sorry, can't think. And that's our women's nonprofit. And this time of the year, we do the Single Moms Christmas Blessing Fund. And it is my favorite thing we do every year. We raise money to give to single moms at Christmas because that was done to me years and years ago when I was a single mom. I had some ladies anonymously give me some money to get me through the holidays. They knew I was struggling. And it was just an amazing thing for me to feel seen and loved by these women and help me buy some Christmas presents for my boys. And so I knew that was something I wanted to do when we started God and My Girlfriend's Ministries. And so that's this thing. I think it's our sixth or seventh year to do this. And we're raising money to help these women. We are having women coming out of the woodwork this year.
Hmm.
And and unfortunately having less donations so far. And so if you guys are listening and you feel like it's hard. I know everyone's like strapped for money around the end of the year, but I will say that every dime you give to this ministry for these single moms, it's 100% tax deductible. So come next April when you're doing your taxes, you're going to be thanking me. You're going to go, I'm glad I take that money off my taxes and I helped a single mom at Christmas. So it's a win-win, really. And you can go to godofmygirlfriendsministries.org to the Single Moms Christmas tab at the top and you can donate there. And if you would consider us, we would really, really appreciate it because every dime will go into the hands of a single mom and her kids. So that's
Mm,
my plug for the
wonderful
Christmas.
plug.
Yeah, yeah. And we have a
Yes.
wonderful guest today.
We
Tell us,
do.
yeah.
We do. I was so excited to learn about our guest. His name is Olaolu Ogunyemi. And he found us, but he's like kind of this proverbial onion where he started talking with us, and there's just layers upon layers upon layers of who he is. So I'll read his bio and then we might have a couple quick things to say. But Olaolu, he is a current U.S. Marine officer, and he is an award-winning author. And he has founded an organization called Parent Child Connect, which empowers parents, educators, and mentors to bridge the gap with the next generation. And he gives strategies around how to do that. He is a children's book author, and he just authored a book called Crow from the Shadow, which earned critical acclaim. And that introduced families to how they can have good conversations and healthy conversations around emotions and choices and self-worth. He has also contributed to Forbes. He has a whole set of work out on YouVersion too. So if you're a YouVersion user, he's got a lot of Bible plans out there. He's also contributed to Military Families Magazine on topics from fatherhood to empathy and discipline. So we just enjoyed our conversation with him. He's absolutely vibrant and just he's passionate about life and what he does. And I just enjoyed our time with him.
Yeah, he was great. I found myself smiling the whole interview because he's
Hmm.
just so positive and so fun. And I know you guys are going to love this conversation and will be inspired. So y'all stick
Yes.
around and we will
Stick around.
be right back.
All right.
Welcome, Olaolu. We are so happy to have you here on the Fresh Start podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to it, so I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Well, we've had to reschedule a couple of times and you've been so gracious with us. So we thank you. Life is crazy right now, a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a crazy world to be in right now, but I'm grateful to be alive and be able to talk about anything that we're talking about on top of this earth. My papa used to say, "I'm glad that to be on top of the earth and the earth not on top of me." So I'll take it all day.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Well, just for our listeners, as we get started, would you tell them a little bit about yourself, like where you live, you have a family, just put yourself in time and space for us.
Absolutely. So I'm Olaolu Ogunyemi. I grew up from Ruston, Louisiana. I was a fifth of six children, so I'm in a very large family. So family and community is everything to me. I graduated with a degree in computer information systems from Grambling State University, and then from there I commissioned as an officer in the United States Marine Corps, which has had me around the world. And currently I'm in Stafford, Virginia. I have a wife and three kids. I have a 16-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, and a 6-year-old girl. So my hands are always full at all times.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and yeah, so I've been enjoying being in the Marine Corps for let's see, for about 13 years now, I guess. And it's been a really awesome opportunity. Met some phenomenal people. I've had some unique things that I've been able to do. So I don't have anything negative to say, only positive things. And I promise I'm not recruiting you guys, but if you want to join, I'm sure there's a recruiter out there that'll help. They'll call you.
Think we're a little past the age limit, but thank you so
Unfortunately,
much.
yeah. I come from a half Navy, half Army family. So it was always fun when my dad, who was a retired Army colonel, and his brother, who is still alive and was a captain in the Navy, they would put bumper stickers on each other's cars, like around holidays, fly Army, fly Navy. Whole family of aviators, but split right down the middle.
That's amazing. Because I always thought about flying, but I never could get behind it. I was like, you know what? I would much rather just walk and drive on the ground. That's where I like to be.
Yes. Well, I was just excited to meet you because as I have been digging into what you do, you have like so many layers. You're like an onion. So I love that. You just bring so much. And one of the things that I didn't find until later was your book writing. So I'd just love to hear a little bit about how, with all of those, we talk about fresh starts. So you've had a lot of fresh starts, a lot of fresh things that you do. What's a common thread that holds all of that together?
Yeah, so first of all, I have to acknowledge your Shrek reference for those who didn't know. Yes, I do have layers. But first, I do appreciate that question because the thread that holds it all together for me is having a supportive family. Because I could not do what I do without having a supportive family. There's times when I'm deployed, and while in that break between working and trying to make sure with family, that's when I have time to write. But I'm only able to do that because my wife is here taking care of the children and keeping everything going. So that's the first thing, having a supportive system. The next thing is having a system in place that allows you to do these things. Because a lot of people ask, like, how do you have time for it? But it's because I started a while ago budgeting my time the same way we talk about budgeting money. And so I decided to say, I'm going to do a zero-based budgeting for my time. And so I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what I'm going to do from this time to this time. And if I start going over on that time, I'm like rushing, standing up on the computer. It's like, oh, nope, it's time for you to move on to the next thing. It's time to work out, or it's time to read, or whatever that activity is. So I would say you have to establish a system that allows you to do the things over and over. And from there, the rest is history. It starts to it builds more and more. And that's how I believe I was able to do it. Number one, a support system. And then number two, having a system in place that allows me to do these things.
You sound very disciplined. I need a little bit of your discipline.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, if you read the book Atomic Habits, I think that's probably one of the best things, best books that I've ever read. And it talks about those kind of habits and finding the way to do that. And really finding a way. One of my favorite parts of the book is finding ways to tell your brain that this activity is over and moving on. Because I needed that. Because I'm an idea guy. And if you just leave me to it, I can come up with probably a million ideas a day and just sit there and just all day long I'll walk around and just come up with all these ideas of how I'm going to be a multi-billionaire by the end and take over the world. But in reality, you have to make sure that you're doing these things and establishing these habits to move from place to place. So that discipline is something that I try to work every single day. It really, it's intentional for me.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. I promise.
that's awesome. Well, why children's books? Why did you decide to, like, when did you, in all of you're in the Marines, you're obviously you've got a lot of things going. When did you decide, okay, I think I'm going to write some children's books in
Yeah.
my
So
spare time?
ironically, I decided I was going to write it when I was stuck in traffic on the five, and when I was in San Diego. But one of the things that I realized, and we're talking about a fresh start today, and I was a young parent. So I graduated from college. I was 22 years old, married with a 3-year old. And so I became a parent at a very early age. And one of the things that I had to learn is how to connect with my daughter, because I told you I'm a fifth of 6 children. But my two older sisters are 14 and 12 years older than me. And then you have the brothers who are like very close in age, like 2 years apart. And so we just constantly clash. And then, when we're done, we're over it. We move on. That didn't work for my daughter. That wasn't even close to how life worked in my daughter's world. And I wanted to provide her everything and be the best father that I could be for her. And so I started thinking about how can I do that? And I remember my mom sitting down with us and reading books and working through these things. And so I was like, man, why don't I sit down and start reading books with them? And that became, well, why don't I write a book? I have an idea of a book, and I'm sitting in traffic. I turn the music off, and I recommend this because again, we're talking about fresh starts and having these habits. I always recommend every once in a while turning off the music and allowing your brain to wander. Please pay attention to the road though, because we have too many people that are wandering and not paying attention. But allow your brain to wander as you think through these things and try to identify, okay, what am I going to do? And how am I going to put this idea into practice? And so that's how it happened. I started working through it, and then eventually I decided I was going to actually publish it. I initially was going to do it for my family and just have something with me and my children. But then I realized there's other dads out there, other moms like me who just want to connect with their children. So I wanted to write a book with continue the conversation questions in the back, fun facts about crows and things of that nature, so that children and parents could sit down and have a moment together. And I was like, if I can be a part of a moment for children and parents, I would love to do that. And I believe that's really why. And I know the Marine Corps, it's almost strange. And I remember seeing somebody and they looked at me and they're like, you wrote a children's book? And they were so confused. I went through the entire spiel of how I wrote a children's book and why. I did a workshop and they're like, you wrote a children's book? And so I know it's not a typical Marine thing to do. But the other thing I'm trying to teach when I go back home, I tell the kids back home when I'm talking to them is, hey, man, you can be whatever you put your mind to. And so don't ever put yourself in a box to say, well, this is the organ or this is the profession I chose, and I'm just going to stick with that. No, if you want to go do something else on the side, or you want to do something else entirely, go do it. Start over. Do what you need to do to pursue your dreams, because the only person that can stop you is you.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, this is, I got the book because, Amazon, you can have it almost immediately. And
And behind you is all three of your book covers. I see that. If people
They
are
are.
watching on YouTube, you can see his books back there.
so it's not just a kid's book, though, I would say. It's definitely a book that has a message for adults too. So I imagine reading this book to a child, the adults also taking in a really kind of a deep message about the inner critic voice and how we stop ourselves from, maybe taking risks, doing new
Yeah, absolutely.
things.
And I
So,
love that you brought that out. That's amazing. Thank you.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm like, wow, he's speaking to me and my inner critic. Yeah, your books have taken on some legs. So, what kind of experience has that been for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's been amazing because my children's books have given me the access is what I didn't expect right off the bat. I should have known it, but it's given me access to young children and families to work alongside them. And you were talking about parents learning. One of the things that one of the mothers reached out to me, and this is within the first like 6 months of launching the book. One of the questions in the back is, what is the shadow for you? Or who is the shadow for you? It's just phrased as trying to help the child identify the shadow. And the hard truth for a mom who reached out to me is the child looked at their mom and said, Mom, you're my shadow. And the mom sat back in her chair. And initially, she thought, well, he doesn't understand the story. So she asked him again in another way. And he said, no, you are my shadow. You stopped me from doing things. And I'm not talking about in a positive way. Is that you're trying to protect me and you don't allow me to do these things. And it was amazing to hear her talk about that from a 6-year-old to the mom. And I thought that was such an important conversation to have because the mom was just trying to protect her child. She was trying to do the best she could for him. And what she found out is that she was actually limiting him and his potential. And so that's one of the biggest things that the book has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to be a part of these conversations in a very unique way. It's allowed me to go back into my elementary school, which I was very proud of because actually the assistant principal who should have kicked me out of school for doing some crazy stuff and gave me another chance. She's the one who brought me back. And it was such an eye-opening moment. And I talked to her about it. I was like, hey, you remember that referral that you put in your dad? She pulled it out. She just looked at me with this. And I'll never forget that feeling because all the time she fussed at me, I was like, I don't care, whatever. But the look of disappointment on her face when she pulled out the referral, she's like, I should send you home for this. I should send you home. And then she decided to put in her desk drawer. She's like, one more time, and I promise you're gone. And it was amazing that years later she brought me back to talk to these students, and I was like, man, this full circle moment. You gave me an opportunity, and now I'm back and able to give back to the children. So that's really what the books have allowed me to do is to get into the classroom and to work along with students and families and really encourage them to be what they want to be.
I love that.
Yeah, I think a lot of adults maybe struggle with connecting with younger generations these days. What's like one step that would bridge that gap, between the different generations? I guess it's probably been always one generation has a trouble with with another one, but as I'm getting older, I hear a lot of, people complaining about the younger generation, and like I see them working hard. I don't know. I see a lot of positivity in our younger generation, but there's definitely a gap. So what would you say that would might help bridge that gap a little bit?
Oh, they're phenomenal human beings. I love
Yeah.
working with
Yeah.
this generation. One of the things that they have that I didn't even have growing up is instant access to information. And I always talk about this because I distinctly remember having dial-up in the country, and I can promise you that it just got boring at some point because even if you wanted to search something or ask Jeeves, he never could get the question right. He never can get it in time. By the
Yeah.
time you're ready to do it, somebody's trying to get on the phone, and it's all these things. And I didn't have my first cell phone. And I tell my 16-year-old this. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was about to graduate high school, and even then, I had to like pay for every text message, and I
Yeah.
definitely would have to pay for like the internet. So I
Yeah.
didn't do it.
Yeah.
So we found other ways to get information. And I think that's one of the things that we have to pay attention to is that they have ready information at all time. They're always getting information, and sometimes that can cause anxiety for them and cause them to be overwhelmed. And so the biggest thing I tell people, if you want to connect with them, you have to get into their world. I'm not saying that we should change and try to dress like them and do all these things, but what I am saying is understand what's influencing them, understand what they're watching, understand who they're following on social media, understand what the students are talking about nowadays. You're not going to be able to keep up. I can't even keep up with all the lingo and changes that they're happening,
Hmm.
but try to understand them from their perspective and get into their world. The way that looks is I always recommend books. I will never stop recommending books, even if your child is older. The way you can do it is call it a book club. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to read a bedtime story, maybe call it a book club. See what book they enjoy and read it with them, and then flip the script. And then you give them a book and you choose the book and you read with them. And so these are different ways to connect with the child, but it's going to require you to get out of your comfort zone. It's going to require you to potentially watch like anime or something like that that you may
Yeah.
not have been interested in, or potentially like watch some crazy videos that you don't even understand. There's one that's called brain rot. If you haven't heard children walking around making up words,
Hmm.
it's like Italian brain rot, and they legitimately just make up words. Uh, but you just have to be able to understand what's going on.
Oh, wow.
It quite literally is called brain rot, and I couldn't believe when I saw it. I was like, you think that's something you want to watch? It's called rot, but it was just a big thing, and it was making games about it and all this stuff. So it's little things like that, just understanding what's going on and get into their world a little bit to understand how they're seeing the world in context.
That's
Yeah.
great advice.
Yeah. I really, the more I work in my corporate world with leaders in different generations, the more I believe that we have so much more in common than we do
Mhm.
differences. And it's just a matter of finding that common ground and some of the motivations that we share and being curious to, like you said, just see the world through a different perspective and find ways to connect that way. Because the reality, I mean, it's such an exciting time to have five different generations in the
Mhm.
workforce. It's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And the one thing that I always tell people is like every generation has said that the next generation is something wrong with them. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Right.
can go all the way back. Like every time when I was I'm in the Marine Corps, and every single time, everybody that we talk about, they're like, man, those new Marines, they're just not as good as they used to be. They're growing up and they're not as tough. And it's like, I'm certain that I heard a Vietnam veteran say that, and then I'm certain I heard a World War II veteran say that. So you just keep going and going. There's always going to be something about the next generation because you're always going to feel like that you had a little bit more of a hardship. But I 100% agree, Stacey, that we have to find a way to have a common ground. Like what do we have in common? Number one, we're all navigating this earth, and we all have challenges and struggles. So instead of trying to identify what makes me tougher as a or some millennial than Gen Z, perhaps I can say, hey guys, I've seen this before, and I can help you through this challenge that you're working through, and maybe I can understand your world a little bit more. And really, what that's called is some empathy. Be more empathetic towards people,
Mhm.
and then say, hey, we share common ground, and I'll be more empathetic and understanding of who you are and what you're trying to do on this earth.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm glad you used that word. Um, I I love studying leadership, but I mentioned that my family has a deep military history, and leadership from a military perspective has always fascinated me. And the Army Field Manual has been one of my top sources for leadership development at times. So, influence is how I like to describe leadership. And when you're talking about military leadership, it's such a way to see how it's not just giving orders. You have to have connection. You have to have influence. You have to be able to motivate. And I'd love to hear, in the different areas of your life, how you have grown in terms of a leader and your influence.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a phenomenal question. I love the way you asked that because one of the things I realized is as a young leader, I was just trying to replicate what I saw. I didn't know anything about the Marine Corps when I joined. And so my vision, excuse me, of influence was going in and telling people, you will do this. And then if they have questions, I'm like, "Well, I don't know if you understood how an order works. An order means I say it, you do it, right?" That's how I walked in, as especially as an operations officer. I had no care about like true influence. It was more like the only influence I need is for me to say that the commanding officer said do it, and I'm here to enforce that. But when I learned over time that when people are responding to me as an operations officer more out of I don't want to do it because he's nagging, and less out of I want to do it because I'm aligned with the commander's intent and I'm aligned with understanding what the mission is and I'm committed to the mission. I started realizing that that's not a great way to lead. That's a very toxic way to lead, even in the Marine Corps. And does it work for short-term missions? Yeah, absolutely. If I tell somebody to do something, they're going to do it. But in reality, that's not the way that we influence them to have the self-discipline, as we were talking about discipline earlier,
Mm.
to make sure that they're doing the right thing even when no one's around. And so that's where I had to learn. That was my first pitfall, is learning how to be myself in the Marine Corps as a leader. And then once I started learning that and understanding that, and I can be Olaolu in the Marine Corps, no matter what my rank is, no matter how many Marines I have or where they come from. It was amazing. It was amazing because the Marines responded in a different way. They responded in a way that showed that they trusted me. They felt like they're in a safe environment. They didn't think it was a democracy and that they just can argue back and forth. But they knew that if they had a problem or they wanted to discuss something, they can discuss it with me. We can have a conversation and we can understand how we can get to the best solution. And then when it's time to say, okay, here's the decision, everybody's more bought in. They're willing to continue to work with it. So I believe that's what influence is about. Is really understanding people and giving them the at least a little bit of that the psychological safety. And I was just thinking about Project Aristotle by Google, where they talked about creating this safe environment, a psychological safe environment for people to thrive in. And if we take that same concept and we think about it in the Marine Corps to make sure that they have some kind of environment they can work through and grow through, and not just like, hey, you show up, you shut up and do what we tell you to do, because that is a way, but it's not a way to grow those leaders. So that's a phenomenal way to look at it. It is all about influencing somebody else, not just to do what you want them to do, because that could be manipulation,
Mhm.
but influencing them to do the right thing even when you're not around.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's
it's about
powerful.
whether you're leading your children, whether you're leading someone in the Marines, whether you're leading anyone. Whenever you're in a leadership position, uh, treating them with dignity and respect and empathy and having some humility, all of those things are amazing qualities in a leader, because your kids or your people are underneath you or whatever, they're going to want to do their best for you, right? And I feel like I see a lack of like compassion and empathy and humility in a lot of leadership these days.
Yeah, I 100% agree. One of the things that we fail to do is we fail to sometimes see the connection between parenting and leadership. Because you can have I've seen some phenomenal parents, like they love their children, they provide for their children, they're always working, they're compassionate with their children. All these things exist. Then they get to work and they're almost completely different person. And I always challenge people to recognize there is a direct line to it. In fact, you could become a much better leader if you learn about that connection between being a parent at home and a leader at work. Why?
Mm,
Because at home, you have to be authentic. You can't put on a mask at home. There's just no way, right? Because you'll just be tired and exhausted. And so your children get to see the real you. They get to understand who you are. And when you get to work, yes, you don't have to go out and share up the personal details. There's the details you should maintain and keep to yourself. But you should be able to share moments with them at work that allows them to see your human side. That's really all you're trying to do. Reveal that you are human. You're not a robot, and you
yeah.
can continue to work through with them. So, yeah, I do agree that there's a lot of people that are losing that compassion and not showing empathy in this world. And I think a lot of it's just because we're tending to be more divisive instead of trying to find a way to get on the same page and work together.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, what is your advice for someone who's at a crossroads in their lives, whether it's earlier in their lives or later. I mean, you pick. What's some advice that you would give someone who's wanting to do something new or do something in a new way and isn't quite sure how to get started with that?
Oh, great question. So first of all, I have an acronym for it. It's a framework because that's the way I compartmentalize things in my mind. It's called DOPE, D-O-P-E. So the first one is to dream. And that's one of the things that I think we've lost. And I think it's because life beats us up so much and that we just don't want to dream anymore. And so I encourage people to find at least 20 minutes a day. And if you can't do that, just take 10 minutes, whatever it is, to get outside, walk, find some kind of low cognitive activity to just dream. Think about what life would be like if you did dot, 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 whatever that is for you. If you want to make a change in your life, think about life in that change and just go on a walk or go do something to where you're not really thinking about what's going on around you and you have the ability to just let your mind wander. So that's the first step. So after you dream, offload it. It's time to take a pencil and pen and paper and write down every aspect of that dream. Don't worry about trying to add in resources or ask a bunch of questions. Don't judge it. Don't add any kind of bias to it. Just write down your dream exactly the way that you saw it in your head, because that's why it's important to dream in high definition. I always tell people that if you can't smell the coffee for your future self, then you haven't dreamed in high definition. You really haven't dreamed well enough. So that's what you have to do: dream and then offload it onto paper, brain dump everything. The next step is plan. And this is the first time that you're actually applying the resources that you have to your dream. And the reason I say that is because sometimes, especially for dreamers like me, we tend to have like lofty goals. And sometimes it's good to bring the resources back. And sometimes it's not just the resources that you have, but it could be the resources that are in your immediate circle. So who have you networked with who can provide you some help and bring your dream to life? So the next step is to plan. Start asking the right questions. Who needs to be involved? What resources you need, and so on and so forth. And then the last step is to execute. And this is the step that we get stuck between the P and the E. Sometimes we get in that planning phase and we just keep on planning and planning and planning. And I know we all familiar with paralysis by analysis. We keep scaring ourselves and we never go for it. But you have to execute. Even if you're at like a 60 to 70% plan, at least try. Do something so that way you won't get to the end of your life and have all these ideas that you had and don't actually do anything about it. So that's really my recommendation, is to go out, dream again, bring back daydreaming, go and offload that plan onto paper, that dream on the paper. P is to plan it out, and then E is to execute that plan.
Dope.
So this
I
is
like it.
this is the one time that's okay to be a dope.
Yeah, dope. That's dope. So I have one more question for you here real quick. For people in leadership right now, I run a nonprofit, and leadership burnout is a real big thing. What advice would you give out there to people in leadership that would offset that burnout that so many people run into?
Oh, great question. So first of all, if you're burnt out, take some time. Don't be afraid to take a step back. It's okay. And sometimes I think in the service industry, so the nonprofits, I think sometimes we feel guilty and we feel burnt out. So I want to start there. If you feel burnt out or you're starting to feel tired or exhausted, rest. Like there's nothing wrong with resting. Yes, you may be saving the entire world, but you still deserve to rest at some point. And that's the first thing I'll say. So find a way to rest. And then I offer to have some non-negotiables in your life. And I always say the first thing in the morning, if you can, at least for 10 minutes a day, do four things. So I want you to do something to improve your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and spiritual health. And I'll say for myself, I do wake up at 4 in the morning, and I don't recommend that for everybody, but that's what I do. I wake up at 4, and the first thing I do is I do my meditation, devotion, and that's, again, this is me improving my mental health and spiritual health. And then I turn into like writing and reading and just trying to really strengthen my mind. And then I do my workout, my physical workout. And I do that for about an hour and a half. And then I start my day. So before I even interact with my first human being throughout the day, I do something to improve upon all four of those key areas. And the reason that's important is because that gives me a foundation from which I can build a better day. I can actually create a great day and say that, man, I'm going to have a great day because I established a good foundation first thing in the morning before I even interact with somebody and somebody comes in and says, hey, why didn't you do? And now I'm all upset. Well, I've already have a strong foundation before I go forward. So I recommend that. You don't have to do it at 4 in the morning, but at least whatever time you wake up, I would say 40 minutes is about the minimum that you want to do something. And you combine some of these activities. You could try, like I already talked about, walking while you think. You can try like as you drive, listen to an audiobook or a podcast,
Mhm.
Fresh Start podcast.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
these are the kind of things that you want to do. These are the kind of things you want to do first thing in the morning to really set yourself up. But overall, if you're starting to feel exhausted, just rest. It's okay. And establish a habit of resting and telling people no. Sometimes saying no is the best superpower you can have. So
Yeah.
be great with saying no.
Well, speaking of morning meditations, I do that too. I get up, I go in my sunroom, and I have my coffee. And first thing I do is have some meditation and some Bible time. And I see that you have some Bible series on YouVersion.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I open YouVersion every morning. That's wonderful. How many do you have on there?
So I actually just launched my seventh one, I believe.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
Oh yeah, so I love it. So if you're looking for a Bible plan, you just go to parent-child-connect on YouVersion, and we've done everything. So we've talked about a dysfunctional family, how to grow through a dysfunctional family to become functional. We've talked about overcoming temptations. That's specifically for the teens. Here recently, I launched a 30-day plan for leaders called the Upside Down Leader, and this is a part of the YouVersion's Global Bible Month. So it's all kinds of things. The time to move and talking about when it's time to uproot or when it's time to stay in a certain location. Just a few different topics that as they come to heart, I try to write them. And I've had some great co-authors who've worked with me in the past. So it's been fun. It's been a great experience. I love Life Church and I love what they're doing through the YouVersion Bible app.
Yeah, I'm going to check those out. That's awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So again, back to the onion. I had forgotten the YouVersion thing. So I'm glad we got that here. I have really loved our conversation because I'm very attuned to the Enneagram. I use the Enneagram a lot, the IEQ 9 specifically, my corporate world and private coaching. And it's about integration and balancing what we think and what we feel and what we do. So that comes through even in the acronym, the DOPE acronym, right? We've got to think about it, we got to get on board with it, and then we've got to execute. We've got to put it into action. And in terms of the Enneagram, we end each of these podcasts with some thoughts and perspectives and prompts around each of these three centers. Do you know your Enneagram type?
I do not.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go look for that actually.
Yeah, you definitely have that dreamer aspect to you, that thinker and ideator. So I have a type coming to mind, but I would love for you to reach out to me after you look at it.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
the three centers are thinking, feeling, and doing. And today our thinking prompt is all about how we stay open and curious. So when we think about fresh starts, when we think about new changes, even as we're thinking about that inner critic voice. So what's occupying our minds, and is it productive or unproductive? So what helps keep our thinking productive? And how do we notice when our thinking has become unproductive? So that's a great prompt, and to be curious about our own style.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling center, leaders who are vulnerable and emotionally present have more influence. And the heart center, that feeling center, reminds us of how important genuine connection is between people. So the prompt for the feeling center is, what changes when we lead from empathy rather than just expectation?
Mm-hmm.
And the doing center, this is where things are moved into action. And that's an intuitive or instinctual center. This is when we decide to move, when we're making decisions, when we're leading with purpose. And where might intentional pause, so the action of pausing, when might that pause strengthen our influence and impact?
Good one, Stacy. Those are
Mm.
good.
Oh
Positive,
yeah,
very
absolutely.
powerful. Mhm.
They're very powerful. You saw me taking notes over here. Those were really good.
She always has some good prompts for us at the end of at the end of our conversations, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, you should check into the Enneagram. That's been a pretty fun thing to learn as far as like just self-awareness and understanding
Mhm.
like why you do what you do, what might be, causing you to do those things. We all need to be a little more self-aware, I think, these days.
100%. And I'm definitely looking that up. I underlined that in my notes over here. That's the one first thing I'm doing when I get off this call.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You are a delightful person, and I love your energy. I love what you're doing. You're putting positivity out in the world, and Lord knows we need some positivity out there. So thank you for being you, for all the work that you're doing, because I know it's going to change lives.
Absolutely. Marsha, Stacy, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. This is a great conversation. I'm going to take a lot of this with me today.
We will too. We will too. Well,
Thanks
you
so
have a
much.
great day, and thanks again.
You too. Thank you.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed our interview.
Yeah, he was great.
Yes,
He's just,
Ola Olu,
we need more people like him out in the world, putting out all that
definitely.
positive energy. I love it. I love it. So we are so thankful for Olaolu for joining us. That's awesome.
Yes. And I ordered his book too. His book is just adorable. It would make a great little stocking stuffer if you want to order
Yeah.
it
Oh,
for
yeah,
your
for your
kids.
kids. That's a great idea. We'll put that in the show notes so where you can order it. So that's great. And y'all don't miss next week with our little holiday episode. It's got some good stuff in it. And so
Yes.
so y'all thanks for listening. We do appreciate you guys. Make sure you can rate and review if you can on your podcast platforms. That really helps us a lot. And we will see y'all next week on the Fresh Start podcast.
See you then.
Bye. This episode has been brought to you by God and My Girlfriend's Ministries. If you're looking for a faith-based community where everyone is accepted, all beliefs are welcome, and no judgment, check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org, where you can find more information about our book clubs, both online and in person, upcoming retreats, and all the events in your area. You can also find out about one of our favorite things that we do, our Single Moms Christmas Blessing Ministry. So go check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org. We would love to have you a part of our community.